Nation podcast. What's your grind like?
What's your grind like? What's your grind like? What you grind like? What's your grind like? What's your grind like? What you grind like? What's your grind like? What's your grind like? What you grind like? What's your grind like? What's your grind like? What you grind like? What's your grind like? What's your grind like? What you grind like? What's your grind like? What's your grind like? What you grind like?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the What's Your Grind podcast. I'm your host, Keith Burroughs. This is episode 3. Oh my God, we made it to episode 3. I'm going to say that until we get to episode 300.
Right.
To my right is a very important man. His name is Mr. Bob, and he's the CEO of L3ft Lan3 Clothing. I know that all of you guys know about L3ft Lan already, but today you're going to get a first-hand view of the clothing brand and the genius that's behind it. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, brother.
My name is Rob, L3ft Lan, Rob, Bob, whichever you know, all the same. But clothing line started, been going for a while now. I think we on about year 8 now.
Wow.
Rolling, man, just
Yo,
rolling, trying to get bigger.
I remember vividly when you first started L3ft Lan.
You was there.
I want to know, how did you get started with the fashion industry, and what inspired you to create L3ft Lan Clothing?
All right, the stuff, let me see. What inspired me was just dressing, like shopping. I was fortunate enough that when I was young, I was able to shop on my own from like maybe 15 and up. And I just always like shopping. That was something I liked to do, you know what I mean? Clothes, going to City Blue on South Street. I can remember going there when I was young and shopping, me and my friends. And, you know, some of them might have came in there, yo, let me get that's on the mannequin. And I'm all through the aisles finding stuff, sneaks, all this stuff. Coming to the counter, and like people been there that can attest to this with me, where I put the stuff on the counter that I'm buying, and the owner or whoever was at the register telling the girls, like, put this on the mannequin. I like how you put that together. But when you're into certain things, when you're into certain things, you might not see other things, you know what I mean?
Sure,
if you're too blinded by things. And that's something that now that I'm older, I just see, like, you know, how much that can affect you somewhat. Even if you think what you're doing is cool or you like what you're doing, then on hindsight now, looking back now, I had an eye for it then, just didn't.
So
You know
it's
what I mean?
crazy because the aesthetic of L3ft Lan Clothing is really unique. Who would you say was like your key influencers, the people or objects or things that influenced you to have such a unique aesthetic for L3ft Lan?
The things I see is where I get most inspiration from. Like, and one of the main things that I focus on when I'm doing my designs and when I'm putting things out, I just don't want to do too much, and I don't want to look like everything else that's out, you know what I mean? But in a kind of the other side of that is, if you go too far left, people don't get it, you know what I mean? And I was doing things in the beginning that maybe people wasn't getting. And I recall one thing, for instance, it was a day we was at the job where we used to work, and I had a sweatshirt on when I first started. I had a whole sweatsuit on, and it got hot that day. And I went in the bathroom, cut the sleeves off, and made it like a short sleeve hoodie.
Yeah.
And I remember my one boy, he's like, "What, you don't know if you hot or cold, like you wearing that," like basically like clowning it a little bit. And I'm like, whatever. Fast forward maybe a year or two later, Nike made a cutoff hoodie, and I remember he had one on, and I was joking like, "What, you don't know if you hot or cold?" I'm like, "You only remember when I did that when you was clowning it because you never seen it."
So,
and I understand that.
All right. So present some challenges that you faced with trying to start this brand, because I vividly remember I think it was a little bit more than that. I think it was maybe 10
a little
years
bit,
ago.
yeah. It was about 10 when I first started
Mm-hmm.
messing with it, but then taking it serious. First 2 years, I had no clue what I was doing. But
the early stages.
Uh-huh.
Like, give me some of the challenges that you faced. You did mention, a really good example of that. But were there any other challenges that you were facing? I'm gonna just set the pace for everybody. Bob has been one of the flyest men I've ever met in my life. Always had all of the, fresh, always fresh. So by him creating a clothing line, that was his lane. That was his left lane. That was his lane. So give me some of the unique challenges that you faced early on back in the days.
Trying to cater to what I thought people would want to buy, you know what I mean? Because it was something new, and I didn't have nobody to turn to ask like, well, what did you do? Or nothing. Nobody even had advice to give me on this. I really winged this whole thing, you know what I mean? And just trying to figure that out. And people, I take some advice, but you can't take advice from somebody that just not doing it. And I'm around people, everybody knows what to do better than you, you know what I mean? So I had to make sure I didn't get too caught up with, you should do this, you should do that, you should do it. Like, all right, I'll take some of that into consideration, but then I still got to do what I think is right. Because at the end of the day, if I had an eye to pick out clothes, then that means I have an eye, so I'm going to trust my eye. So it was like, if I like it, I think people will like it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to make it. If I think it's dope, I think people going to think it's dope. And so far, so good. I mean, it is some things that I haven't put out because maybe it didn't hit like that. Because one of my hardest critics is my son, you know what I mean? My son, Just, that's in school. He will tell me straight up, like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
And and he's younger, so that was my person I would go to. I mean, it's a big age difference. I want to sell to older and younger. I don't want to make stuff just for me, and like I might like stuff plainer. Younger kids might want stuff more.
Of course.
So I had to get some feedback, and that helps. But some of that was just trying to balance it out.
So, tell me, what sets Left Lane apart from other urban brands within like the urban market?
What I think the most is, I tell people this, I'm not doing it just to try to make a whole bunch of money. This ain't a money grab. I mean, granted, I would love to, but it's not a money grab. And after I say this, if you've been paying attention, you'll see that that's exactly, I see now. I don't want my brand to just go crazy and then be dry. And it's like, okay, that was hot, but now we can't wear that. That's corny, or it was oversaturated. So I try not to go too crazy with it. I want to make it more for people that understand where I'm coming from with it. So if I just have a core amount of people that really rock with it, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about, well, for one, you're in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
You have a store in the mall. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about the differences between having a store in the mall and the impact of social media and e-commerce.
Yeah. So with that, that's a good question. In the beginning, when I first started, okay, you starting out, you selling stuff out your car, your trunk, whatever, moving around like that to see if it's going to stick, if it's worth even putting more into it. You go from that to getting a partnership with a store in the mall, and you got a partner, and y'all got the store in the mall rolling, you got your clothes in there now. So now that took it to another level, because now it's like, oh, he got his stuff in the mall, so that make people want to kind of buy into stuff more. They see that. So that helped, you know what I mean? And then it turns to, now I'm starting to see it's a more online thing.
Yeah. And
people are turning more to that, and how things are on social media. Because, I mean, I could post stuff every day that I post things, somebody's inboxing me to buy something, a DM or something. You know what I mean? So I gotta post stuff. You gotta be on social media. If you're selling anything, you have to have a social media presence. Like, and I'm somebody that don't come from the era, so it's hard.
Right.
It's still, to this day, it's hard. I go some days where I still miss a day.
I wouldn't be able to tell, though. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I know people say that, but it be gaps in it, man. I get in my moods where I'm like, oh, man. Then I'll be like, oh, I gotta post something. It's been too long.
I definitely follow you on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I notice about just your brand in general, you know, I've been in your store, I follow you on social media, I've been on your website, I see consistency.
Yeah.
For 8 years straight, I've come across so many other brands who might have looked at you and said, hey, that's easy, I could do that. You hear that all day, I could do that. I got a clothing line too. But none of them are consistent. None of them are in the mall. Yeah, I ain't shading none of y'all, but y'all not in the mall. you're not consistent, and you don't have that passion. So passion separates money from,
Absolutely.
you know, you're going to still do it even if you take a quick L. You know, so I want to talk to you about, there was a couple of collaborations, not even collaborations, there were mentorships that I've seen you do in the past where I knew of young men who had a clothing line, and then next thing I knew, I saw them next to you in your store. Can you talk to that?
Yeah. That's something, I mean, I do a lot of stuff like off camera. I don't talk about it because, again, I'm from before social media, so I don't bring everything to the camera. And I was just telling somebody the other day, if I probably posted more stuff and showed more, people probably look at me totally like a lot different, like, because it's one of them if you know things. But I'm gonna try to get into that more. But it was, I went to I'll give you a good one. I went to Salem High School. This was some years ago. It was on my page before. If you might have seen it, I don't even remember what year that was. But I went there and I talked to the 8th grade class. And fast forward to a few years later, a guy comes in my store and he's starting a clothing line and stuff like that. And I was like, that's what's up. He's like, you don't even remember who I am, do you? I'm like, no. And he's like, I remember I was at the school. You was talking to us that day. I'm like, seriously? He was like, yeah, that one started it from what you said and how I seen you and all that. He was like, followed you from there, and that inspired me to want to do it. And to this day, he's doing his thing, my boy. His brand is Spiral. He's consistent. I always tell him, keep doing what you're doing. And just, if it was only just him that got something out of what I was putting across, I would have been happy for that, because the reason I like to do things like that is because when I was younger, nobody pointed me in the right direction.
Right.
I took the other way.
Right.
And any kid that's my age, a little older, whatever, 15 to the early teens, if I see them doing something positive, if I can help out, especially with this clothes stuff, I'm gonna help, because when I was that age, I wasn't doing nothing like that. So I think that's cool that they're even doing that.
So I was actually going to even speak to that too. Are you in a position where, if a couple of people came up to you and asked you, questions about how you got started, maybe get some advice about suppliers and, some of those jewels that a lot of times we don't share with each other, in efforts so we could build up our communities, because that's really what this platform is about. This platform is about showing people on a local and national scale that we can come together and we'll bring the resources forward. So now it's up to you if you want to reach out to Bob. It's up to you, if you want to reach out to him. He's a super resource. Great guy. I've known him for a very long time. So you willing to create a platform like that where people are able to come to you and get tips and tricks on how they can have a successful clothing line?
I've had people come to the store numerous times and ask me, my friends that be in there sometimes, they be like, you told them that? I'm like, bro, I'm creative. And that's the problem. I feel like some people don't give information because they be intimidated or scared you might take their spot. I'm solid. I'm dope with what I do. I'm confident in me. So I could show you everything I do tick for tack. But if this is me, you wouldn't be able to do it. Everybody could make a steak. It's all in the sizzle. And I feel like I got a nice sizzle with what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't mind showing somebody something. I done took people to warehouses that, again, my friend was like, you took, I don't care. This is what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. Seriously, I led some people astray from what they saw. I didn't do things wrong with people, but when you live a lifestyle and people think it's cool and see what you're doing, it looks cool, people tend to follow that. Semi what I'm doing with the clothes. My previous lifestyle wasn't positive. It wasn't what I would like for my kids to be doing. It might have looked cool, but it wasn't. Right. And I'm real enough to say that. So for me to be able to reach back and have some kids doing something positive, that's what I'm here for, man. I want to do that.
And it's a great example.
That makes sense to me.
That's the perfect example
evolution, man.
Of, okay, my former life, I don't want anybody to emulate that.
Right.
But look at what I'm doing right now and how I made a complete turnaround. And you're now able to teach young ones who look up to you. Because, everybody that I've known always looked up to you
Right.
all the time. That's just what it's been.
It's
And so
crazy.
it's a heavy responsibility when so many people are looking at you and looking at your moves.
Right.
You know, especially in the streets, you know, in professional circles, everywhere. So tell me, what are your goals for Left Lane?
The goals with it, I need to, honestly, man, and I've said this numerous times, but I don't know. I'm just real picky about it because it's my baby. You know what I mean? Like, I hold this real close to me because I really made this from nothing. You know that.
Yeah.
Like, I started out drawing this on paper and turned it into something that people buy from me. You know what I mean? That's how that started, from paper, just doodling on that talk off. You know what I mean? And then just putting the energy into it to say, you used to do that and put all the energy in that. You know where that could have got you. So you'll be a fool not to do this.
Right.
So that's why my passion is just totally different, because I know where I could be, for one. I know everything don't last forever. You know what I mean? So why you got the light on you, why people look at you like this, do what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Take your shot. You know what I mean? But going forward, I just want to put together a solid team, because I do everything by myself, man.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know if people really know. I literally do everything myself. There's not no other person with Left Lane besides me. I do everything. So if you think maybe why he didn't do this, why, I don't know. I don't know how to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out. And I believe in organic things. And that's probably why it's taking me a little long, because everything I want will come to me. I believe that. Because I pressed the issue to get things, and things don't go your way when you press them. And that's just my lessons in life I've learned. So I don't want to press it. It'll come to me.
So you know what's crazy? You're in the middle of doing business, right? So for you may think that you're taking a while to do things, but from where I sit as a consumer of Left Lane, bro, you're consistent as I don't know what with the different styles. You know, I'm thinking about the last time I came to your store in the mall, Deptford Mall, by the way, y'all, and you had the tech jacket with all the zips where you can, like, it's like handicap accessible. Like, bro, you're way ahead of, you know,
People
beyond
didn't
your
even
time.
catch that, man.
You
Stuff
way-
like that. That stuff is hard. It hurts my heart sometimes.
You're way beyond your
Because I'm really
time.
passionate about this. You know,
Yeah.
like, I don't think people really understand how much I care about this stuff. Like, I love this stuff, man. Like, I put everything into this. You know what I mean? So when I make things, it's like, and I'll be telling, like, yo, you should get this. It ain't a lot of them. I'm not saying that for you to hurry up and buy it for me to make some money. This is not a money grab. I've been doing it for almost 10 years. It's not a money grab. This is what I do. So when I'm saying stuff like that, where I'm telling you it's limited, it really is limited. I don't want to oversaturate my brand. My whole thing with this brand is, me and my friend was walking out one day. This is before the brand. He's from Penns Grove. We met up on South Street. We both had on the same sneakers, same socks, and same t-shirt, because the Kobe's had just came out.
Okay.
That killed me. And I'm like, come on, man. We got to change our shirts. Somebody got to change. I'm not changing. I'm like, we're too old to be dressing like this. We almost look like we did this on purpose. And sure enough, we walked past a group of people. They like, oh, look at them. They twins. You know how stupid I felt? And I'm like, I can't be that kind of consumer that buys cookie cutter clothes. And that's what I call them. I don't want to buy something that I know they mass produce, and that's what everybody's going to get, because either everybody's wearing it or it matches that so good that it's like, you got to have that to look right with that. So I'm going to make something for us to match. So if you like different things and you don't want to look like everybody else, that's the whole thing with Left Lane is. You get in the left lane to pass when you're driving, right?
Sheesh.
That's the whole thing with this. Stop being in that lane. You don't have to. You don't want to go in the club. You go out there, go to a club, you go anywhere. Why would you want to walk in somewhere and have the same stuff on that somebody else has on that you don't even know?
That's right.
Like,
and I have in 2023, I have a serious problem with wearing brands of people I don't know. So I would rather wear a Left Lane outfit than to wear one of the other guys. You know, I rock my own clothes.
Right.
You know, my own brands are all my clothes. But if I am going to wear an outfit, it has to be by somebody that I can call in my phone and say, hey, bro, can I get... So listen, you are definitely a friend of the show. How can people purchase your clothes?
you can purchase the clothes The website is leftlane.com. Just like it is, L3ft Lan3. Instead of E's, they're number 3s. That's the only difference. Leftlane.com. Instagram, Left Lane Clothes, or the Left Lane Dude. There's an underscore between each word. Left Lane Rob on Facebook, because I know, as my daughter would say, older people's on Facebook. So I'm on Facebook. I'm older. So if you're on Facebook, I'm Left Lane Rob on there. You can purchase off of there. Come in the store, Defra Mall, upper level, at the end where Boscov's and Red Robin is, right next door to T-Mobile. The name of the store is Flexi. Custom t-shirts, custom printing. We help people with clothing lines. We make a lot of clothing lines that you may not know where they get made at. I probably do it. Like, seriously, I'm gonna say this on here, and this is gonna get out to everybody, I hope. If you wanna do something with a clothing line, stop in. You have any questions, I'm gonna be honest with you, seriously. And I'm gonna be honest, this is the first thing I'm gonna be honest with you before you even come see me. If you're doing a clothing line for money, don't do it. And I'm not saying you won't make money, but if you're doing it for money, I've seen people do this numerous times. Come in my store wanting to start a clothing line thinking they were going to make some money right off top, and coming in there with maybe their last, I don't know. But they came in there, they didn't have no type plan. They just maybe seen, as you said earlier, I might have made it look easy. Somebody else might have made it look easy. It's not easy. Your friends will make you think it's easy by saying, yeah, you should. They're not going to buy it. They're not. Your main friends aren't going to buy it, I'm going to be honest. Now, this is no shade to none of my friends, because you got other things to do. I don't expect everybody to have a Left Lane, but your friends are not going to be your main customer selling clothes, I'm going to be honest. So if you thought that,
that's in every
please
industry
don't do
too.
it. Please don't
That's
do it.
business itself. You know, your main consumer are going to be strangers. There's going to be people who don't know about you. They found you. They like your style. They like your websites. They like your clothes. This is a fact. So, listen, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
I swear you are a good friend to this show. Please don't be a stranger. And I also want to shout out Keith Saunders on the production, my guy.
Oh, man.
And my sponsor for today is Mood and Senses, moodandsenses.com, and Left Lane.
L's up.
Put the 2 E's as 3's.com.
Yes, .com.
Show you love.